Fundamental changes in the European Union are being demanded by German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and French President Emmanuel Macron, among others. Under the concept of the Western leaders, the European Council would lose the principle of unanimous voting, that is guaranteeing member states' veto in all areas, such as foreign policy, security, taxation, social policy, and energy policy. Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki is opposed to such changes.
The Union's policies, not towards greater centralization and the transfer of power to a few key institutions and to the strongest countries, but towards strengthening the balance of power between the countries of Northern, Western, Central, Eastern, and Southern Europe, and to complete EU integration with the Western Balkans, Ukraine, and Moldova, in line with Europe's geographical borders. The question must be asked, how seriously do we take the issue of building a strong and influential European Union? Today, pro-Europeanism is expressed by our mindset of enlargement, not in focusing on ourselves and the centralization of the EU. Strangely enough, those countries that like to present themselves as pro-European and propose turbo integration are at the same time the most skeptical about enlargement policy and play games of political poker. We should not talk about the values that unite the EU while dividing Europe into those who deserve to be in and those for whom access is denied.
In addition, Germany and France are in favor of transferring some of the components from the so-called supporting competencies of the European Union to the shared competencies. Currently, Brussels cannot regulate, but only support, coordinate, or supplement the actions of member states. Work on these treaty changes is underway at the moment. I, for one, think that awareness is improving among member states, those whose voice has so far meant less in the European Union, and how important distinctiveness is. We entered such a union in May 2004. Such a union makes sense to function. Supporters of the idea of expanding Brussels' powers say it is necessary in the wake of the European security crisis, Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In the past, the decision-making process in imposing sanctions on Russia has been slowed down by Hungary, and in the case of the 10th package of sanctions, even by France and Bulgaria. This is one argument that the principle of unanimity is inconvenient in some respects. A Europe that makes a free decision. And let's remember that we always have to, among 27 countries, make every decision unanimously. This always requires a very long time. And other world powers like the United States, China, and Russia make decisions in the blink of an eye. We should accelerate the process of European integration and go simply towards a European federation, because such a stronger Europe is also a stronger Poland. According to Professor Waldemar Gontarski, the aspirations of Germany and France as undisputed EU leaders are anachronistic. The war in Ukraine has dramatically increased in the importance of Poland and the Baltic republics. Here in Warsaw is the moral capital of the European Union, and in a short while the political weight, already moving, and economic weight will move here. After the Paris-Berlin version of union reform, the alternative to sovereign nation-states would be a technocratic utopia whose interests as a whole are more valuable than those of its subjects. This is utopia, such a state that can't practice its foreign policy, that can't pronounce on who it will allow on its territory, because refugee policy would also be subject to these rules. Such a state simply loses its reason for existence. So such a push to eliminate the unanimity rule or leave it to only one or two cases is detrimental, both to the states and to the Union. Self-determination of member states is necessary because their cultures, traditions, historical and geopolitical conditions, interests, but also the direction of development are different. Particular topics divide the MEP community, including decisions on renewable energy, defense, the single currency, or migration policy.